All right, so we're fixing to start cutting some wire. Well, actually, we already cut a bunch of wire. We already started working on this harness, but comment section was full of people asking us about, building harnesses, and that's what that's what we do here. So when we build a harness, everything starts on a roll of wire, a whole bunch of different colors. There's another rack over there. It doesn't matter. We don't have to look at it. There's wire loom. There's this DR25, which is like a diesel resistant heat shrink. We've got some high abrasion resistance loom that's not very good for heat. Then we've got some very high heat, very good for abrasion loom. It's all application specific, depends on where it's going in the car. Battery cables we covered with this, which is very tough, but also smooth. It looks good. It's a really tough jacket over top of a tough jacket on a battery cable. And an engine harness, and the rest of the car we'll cover with this. This is DR25. If it's in a high traffic area, we'll cover it with this. If it's underneath the car and it's susceptible to like road debris, we'll cover it with this first, and then we will cover it with this. So we don't allow liquid in past this, but we don't allow it to get cut up with this or high heat or whatever it is. So a lot of questions about what wire do we use. So this is all Tevzel wire. So the jacket is extremely tough. Impervious to fluids and extremely high temp ratings. It's also all tin plated copper. So its resistance is lower than your typical like TXL or GXL wire. It's got a little bit higher amperage capacity per gauge, but there's a lot of benefits to it, but one of the big benefits is its actual diameter for the gauge of wire that it is. So it tends to be, or it is substantially lighter than other wires with a thicker jacket. It makes for a smaller harness overall. That's 18 gauge. So like just for reference, like that's 18 gauge, and your typical 18 gauge wire in GXL that you get from like a parts store would be about this big. So if you were to compare the two, the jacket size is what we're talking about here. Like your parts store wire would be about this big outside diameter for 18 gauge, where this is 18 gauge that we use. And this wire carries more amperage. So this is what they use in airplanes. It's what the military uses. It's what all motorsports wiring is done with Tevzel wire. This is slant 32. So little nerdy info for you, but this is how we do it. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people that do it differently, but I make a pinout sheet for every single connector that is in the car, where it goes and what it does and what color it's going to be. And these pinout sheets are basically, like here's one for a bulkhead connector. There's a diagram for the bulkhead connector. We'll go over this more in depth when we start pinning these connectors, but I like to work one connector at a time. So I will measure out the car using this little tape measure, handy dandy little guy right here. And we'll measure out the car, we'll draw in or write in a length. And when we measure a car, if this thing measures like 85 inches, 90 inches, I'll call it 100, because it's a lot easier to just cut and throw away 10 inches of wire than come up 3 inches short. So also the way we build a harness, they get twisted. And so all these harnesses get twisted, which makes them use a little bit more wire than just doing straight. And there's some reasons behind twisting a harness, which we'll get into probably in a couple days when we actually have got some harnesses actually fully done twisted, so I can kind of show you why that's important to do, or why we do it. I'm not gonna say it's important to do. It's debatable. It makes for a lot better of an end product. So I'm gonna cut some wire, and we're gonna keep loading down this harness here. So you got any other questions for me, Laura?
No, that was pretty good.
I know, because I did it.
Okay. Whatever you say, darling.
Okay, I'm gonna cut wire. Okay.
All right. Are you gonna call me like squirrel brain and
Nope.
talk down to me? And...
Nope. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, so Justin is over here and he's starting some of the wiring layout for the SmartWire. So he's crimping some terminals right now. So Justin, you want to kind of tell us what you got?
Yeah, these are amp seal terminals. That's what a SmartWire uses, and they don't make a closed barrel terminal for amps for like an amp seal. They don't. There's no closed barrel option. They're all stamped, and that's kind of like I don't know. They're not a downside, but I don't know. They're much more like finicky to work with. You have to like be a lot more careful. It's not like you can just put it in like a DMC crimper like these, and just it's not like you can just stick it in there, go whop, and you're done. Like you kind of there's more finesse involved with these, and they're a little fussier.
You need some
But
muscles.
but they handle. I'm not exactly sure how many amps these handle a piece, but it's significant. I mean, at least 20 amps a piece, and that's pretty good capacity for a terminal of this size.
Devin is working on more of the SmartWire harness.
Yep.
So can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what you got going on here?
Yeah, so the SmartWire, this is a mock-up unit, but the SmartWire is what sends all the high current devices power. So like the water pump will be ran from this, and the dash and the ECU will be powered by this, and the dome lights and the headlights and the turn signals and all that stuff. So this replaces all of your relays and your fuses, right? It's all built in here. It's all programmable. We'll get into that when we start programming this, but this is made by Racepack. We've been using these for years. Nice, compact, very easy to program, pretty integratable. They have 30 outputs and 12 inputs, which means like the neutral safety switch goes to this, and then we program the starter solenoid to not work unless the neutral safety switch is made and another condition like a start button or something. And this is also what connects to the CAN bus keypads up over top of the overhead in the car. So this is a SmartWire. So this is chassis wiring. We start with this because gauge-wise, this is the biggest stuff. This is not like a final finished product. This is just like laid up just so that like it's out of my way, kind of to be able to be organized. So what we do is we have to figure out like a routing of the way wires go. So once we have a route laid out for them, we start to take measurements, and like this will be like a first breakout. So this is also just like a temporary thing, so don't hold me to this right here. But these are going two different directions, right? This is going to ECU because this is going to power up the injector driver modules, these two wires, and then this is going to go to one connector on the ECU. This is going to go to a different connector on the ECU. So what we do is we just start taking measurements and running stuff together loosely because there's going to be a whole bunch more stuff that has to get tied in with this, right? So I like to minimize the amount of catastrophe you have on your hands, because if this is all balled up, like look, let's go for a little walk. This is the back of the car. So if this is all balled up, this bench is 20 feet, and then this toolbox is another, whatever, we got another 3 or 4 foot of wire on there. So if this is all just balled up in a mess where you're trying to work, it's dang near impossible to figure out what's what. So I like to get up to a central break-in point, and then start to do my splits as to where stuff's going to go. This whole section is all going to the back of the car, this long lead. This is going to ECU like we just talked about. This is going to the bulkhead that's on the passenger side. This is going to the bulkhead that's on the driver's side. But all these are missing a bunch of wires. So what I'm doing right now is just separating things so that I can start to go over here to my cut sheet and we proof it out. So Justin, I had to leave earlier today, and Justin cut out all this and terminated all this for the SmartWire connectors, and there's a bunch of notes here and whatnot. But now we're proofing it out to the bulkheads that it's going to before I start cutting the next connector. So like, what do I already have in there versus what do I need? This is the next connector I'm going to cut, and this is for the ECU. So that's what I'm doing. About to start cutting wire. Oh, there's a little pictogram of the bulkhead. So let me get back to work before we get yelled at by everybody in the comments that I'm not working.
Yeah, apparently you don't work enough.
Yeah. If you're going to wire your own car, here's a nice little pro tip here. This is a like these are little tape measures from what is it called?
Amazon?
Sewing. No, it's like sewing tape
for
measures.
sewing.
Yeah, they're like sewing tape measures. So these work really good because you can put them in the car, bend them, go all over the place, and then they're super easy to grab a hold of wire and just stretch it out to whatever length you need and then cut it. So these work great. We usually keep like 10 of these in here all the time. So, all right, let me get some wire and we'll get back to this.
Okay, so we'll start the day off with Daniel's sock game.
On point, as always.
Yeah, he's really proud of those socks.
Yeah, I love Bob's Burgers.
Okay, so you guys started plumbing some CO2?
Yeah, we started plumbing CO2 this morning. So it's really, you got to work from CO2 out. So if you walk over here, you can see what we did here. So our bottle's mounted. Ignore the zip tie. That's just temporary. We just kind of got it in there right now. But on our regulator here, we have 150 PSI, and then we have a 250. So 250 will go to your shoes. You always want the higher to go to your shoes. But our 150 will come out, and then it hits this distribution block that was provided with Mullet, which is it is badass. Can I say? I will have one of these for sure. That block is just awesome. So yeah, we're gonna come out of that block, and then kind of run up this bar here, and then go to our chute solenoid, which is right up there on the top of the cage, and then that'll run to the handle. We'll plumb it into the back of the handle there, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty simple there. There's nothing crazy going on there. And then these are shifter, and then our boost control. So that shifter will come down, kind of follow along what Justin plumbed for the switch for the chutes themselves, which is over there by the shifter. Then there's the switch right there. That switch is just, you flip that switch and it's armed, it's ready to go. If the switch is not on, the chutes are not going to do nothing. You can pull that handle and you won't have any CO2 going to it. So you have to have that switch in there, and it has to be on. Then our dome control will come out and just run along in the drip rail basically, and come up to our MAC valves here. Again, going over our MAC valves, this is cutting shit on, and this is cutting shit off. So we're going to cut shit on here. We have our dome control dampener right here, canister. Then we'll go into a CO2 bulkhead to come out right there. So it'll all be kind of hidden behind the door coming out. When the front end's on, you won't be able to see much of this. And it comes up, and we tee it here. And it just goes across the firewall to our driver's side wastegate. And then we'll come down this rail here for our passenger side gate. And that'll come in the top there. That'll be your dome control. That's pretty much it for CO2. There's nothing crazy going on.
So the sleeving that you guys put on this,
Yeah.
what's that?
So this is, I mean, it protects the CO2 line, but this stuff here this is that baller stuff. This is like high heat. It'll take a lot of heat, which is not going to see much except for right here by the header. But yeah, this just kind of helps protect the CO2 line and make it look good, really. And these are labeled nice, so when let's just say the engine has to come out and they pull everything apart up here, it'll be all labeled, so when Zach or whoever's putting it back together can just plumb their CO2 the way it goes, and you know, it's kind of plug and play. It won't be any guesses on what goes where.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we'll let you finish plumbing the CO2, and then I'll check back with you guys when you start slinging some wire.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome. Baller.
So we are wrapping up for tonight. Laura is cold and complaining.
I'm not complaining.
Always complaining.
Yawning.
So it starts off as just the chassis. This is for the SmartWire, like we talked about. These two leads plug into the SmartWire. So it starts off with just the chassis, and now we're starting to cut a bunch of ECU stuff. So we've got, like a main trunk, like we talked about before, going in the back of the car. Some ECU connections. Oh, this stuff isn't done. It's all loose, as you can tell, right? I just cut this, which is J2A. This is one of 6 connectors on a Holley Dominator. We've already got this connector here, J4. So this is another one of those 6 connectors on a Holley Dominator. We've got some other connections that are going to happen all over the place. Like this is going to be this is the driver's side auxiliary bulkhead. This is J1B right here. Anyway, not to go off into the deep end here on this, but a lot of people were asking what size wire do you use for stuff. And I think tomorrow, since tomorrow is Sunday, I'll be here all day working as usual, but by myself. I think maybe tomorrow we'll spend a little bit of time going over some details on wire sizing, picking out gauges, why you use certain size wires for what, relay control. I think tomorrow we'll make a video kind of for the nerds, right? For the guys, you guys out there that are doing this type of work, or are interested in wiring your own car. I have an extensive YouTube library of videos up teaching you all how to do stuff. But if you're new, maybe we'll make one on just, how to do this type of stuff. And then maybe we can help you here if you want us to wire a car, or if you want to buy materials, or if you want to do a little bit of whatever. I don't know. We do a whole bunch of stuff, and you can bother Laura, she could sell it to you, and then whatever. So, what else you want?
I don't want anything. I thought you were going to talk about some CMA crap.
No, we're not going to do that. No.
Another time.
It's too late for circular malaria.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Good night. See y'all.
see y'all tomorrow.
See you.